Oh, got it. Okay. Hello, future road devils, or whatever we're calling ourselves by then. Okay. So, doors... I didn't think about having a door set up. I should have read through this again before. I figured I didn't have to read through it because I wrote it. Alright, so first thing I want to cover is doors, which is this. These are doors. I know it's a pretty complex subject, so we'll go through it slow. There are 4 types of doors that you'll run across, or 4 types of door situations. Not counting double doors. Double doors are kind of weird, but you can treat any double door as a single door. So, the first type that we see here is the handle side, or sorry, let me take another sip of coffee and get my thoughts together. Okay, so we've got push doors and pull doors. This one right here is a push door. The 2 situations you're gonna find on a push door is handle side, which is when the handle is next to you, and hinge side, which is when the hinges are over here. The best way to attack a push door is from the hinge side, because you want to attack the crack of the door as it opens. So the door opens, and this game doesn't have like incremental opening, but like as it opens, I get a view of the room opening. If I'm on this side, all I see is just like a door. The other side opening is just the other side of the door, which is going to be holes. So, games that are good at this and detailed, if it's a pull door, you're going to be able to see the hinges on the inside. Some games don't operate like this, but Arma does. So if you see the hinges, it's a pull door. So a pull door, you've also got a hinge side open and a handle side open. A hinge side open on a pull door is the worst place to be, because you just hit yourself in the face and you got nowhere to go. So a handle side open is going to be the best way to go for a pull door. And that pretty much covers the 4 types of doors. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, so I don't know if it's something that we're going to talk about later, but if let's say that you have 2 people, right? And you're doing a push door. So the guy on the side of the hinges opens the door, right?
Yeah, let's get on the other side of the door. So it's a push that we're talking about. And I think Sound's going to go get... Never mind.
And he probably sound
he's just
wasn't
doing
working.
the thing for his mic. Yeah. Go ahead with the question.
Yeah,
2-man push door.
It's probably something that we're going to talk about, but let's say that, right, this is a push door, I'm on the side of the hinges, so I open, right?
Negative. So you have the best attack. You're attacking the crack right now.
That's what I'm saying. So I open the door.
No. Your friend opens the door.
Oh, okay.
Your buddy on the other side.
That's my question. Okay, got you.
Yeah. Because, again, not a huge deal in this game because you just press F and your hands don't move, right?
Right.
But if you had your hand, you had to open this with a kick or a if there's a game that has mechanics for that, or if anyone gets VR and wants to get Assault Squad, and play with me, you'll have to use your hands.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
So you want the dude that's attacking the crack to have the gun up.
Gotcha.
And then the way you communicate that is like when you run up, quickly scan for hinges. And in this case, it's a push door, so there are no hinges, and I'm going to say, this is my door. So I'm going to open it. I'm handling the door. You're handling everything past the door. So I'll open it, and you'll be number one.
Right, stepping in.
And then we'll cover entry in a bit. Any questions, comments, concerns? Because somebody else is going to teach Ezra all this. Since he's late. Cool. Yeah, okay, yeah, so the next thing I was going to get into is door buddies. So we already started talking about that. We're gonna run into some different situations. That's a stupid door. I don't like that door at all. But let's say there's a wall right here, and we can't split the door. Is gonna be the one opening the door to minimize exposure from fire coming inside the door, because like you could have a second person come over and open the door, but then as they open the door, they're like in the doorway ready to get shot. You know what I mean? So it's better to have the one man open the door. Split, who plays support?
Yo, can you guys hear me?
Okay, I got another question. And
Yeah.
maybe we're going to talk about this too later, but I remember last time we were talking about CQB, you said that so it would be better, or you have a better angle if you're a little bit further away from the door rather than like standing against the wall, you know what I mean, when it opens.
Yes.
So instead of right here, like right here, right?
Yeah.
So the guy that
Absolutely.
opens the door against the wall, the guy that's gonna like breach or get a peek or whatever, a little bit backed up.
We could do that. So if we're stacked like left side of the door, and two man wants to be like at that angle, and then I can open the door. I don't know what that looks like from your end.
I mean, I can see inside. I don't have much of an angle, but I think it's better than, like you said, having your hands occupied, like you said, to open the door and then having to shoot at the same time.
Yeah, and then we do have two guns. What are the downsides of this?
I mean, maybe a better angle than me.
Yeah, and then if we get doinked through the wall, we're taking 2 casualties.
You also both have your backs turned, so you don't have someone looking at your 6.
Well, yeah, so if we're doing a battle pair, that's true. In my head, we're still doing 4s, but we do have to shave this down to battle pairs to make everything else make sense. So yeah, I think that's a situational thing. I think that's a really good idea, and I think we should implement it. And I haven't thought about it, so I think we need to, as a team, figure out when the best implementation of that will be.
Copy.
Because yeah, here, switch me. You take that door, and then I'll pull this 2-man. Here, we'll stack left. I'm just trying to do what you were doing. So if I'm like away from the door. Oh man, I really like that. And then you can have support pie it.
Yeah.
Of
I mean,
course.
you have a
that
big
looks
angle,
better,
it's
but
better
I
than,
mean,
no angle.
yeah, I mean that makes sense with the way. I mean, realistically, you just opened that door that was like 4 feet away from you, so.
How do you mean?
Because where he opened the door, from here. He literally opened the door from where he's sitting. Like, you know what I mean? So, because of the game mechanics, that's all.
Oh.
You know, so we use our game. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it. That's the way the game mechanics is. But realistically,
but even if we're doing this, like, and he's got, he's I can't really do it. I'll do it with a point. If he's got his back up against the wall and he like reaches over with his hand.
Yeah, I mean, where you were, that was closer, but where he was, it wasn't. Just saying.
Okay.
But there's nothing we can do about that game mechanic. I mean, if we can use it to our advantage, we use it to our advantage.
Yeah. Right, and then a left-hand stack is the opposite. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the left side of the door. Just for terminology. So, if someone calls out left stack, right stack, you know how to stack.
Got it.
And then another thing that I think is important, I'm gonna roll through this real quick to make sure that I don't have this later on. I do, so never mind. We'll talk about that later. Next thing is rolls. So again, I'm going off of like US Mout. So this is all based on like a 4 or 5 man team. So we'll have to figure out how to pare this down into battle pairs. I think we'll just have to get rid of the controller, because as a battle pair you should be in sync enough that you don't necessarily need a controller. Like, the controller can be decentralized into 2 people. But so the point man at any given situation, you don't if we're going into CQB, I'm not like, Rebel, you're the point man, you're going to be the point man in every door that we pull, because as we move through rooms, the positions are going to change, and it doesn't make sense to like rearrange and reset up every time. So the point man is just the person with the most information. So in this situation, the person with the most information is the like crack attacker, right? If we were to breach this room, and we got someone right here, which we'll go over, we'll talk about how we're breaching and how we're moving. This person right here is going to be the point man, because he has the most information. He can see down the hallway, he can see like most of the room, he can see every door that's available, whether it's closed or open. And then there is the support man. So this actually plays pretty well into Rebel's question about backing up on the angle. Rule number 1, I didn't go into because I don't want to practice this today, because I feel like it defeats the purpose, but like rule number 1 of close quarters battle is don't do it. If you can have artillery shell the building and level it, do that. If you can have a tank throw a shell into the window, do that. If you can throw a grenade, do that. Like, CQB is high risk, so avoid it whenever you can. But that being said, we got a point man, I got my gun up, I can see more of the room. Like, I've got the most information right now, and I'm like, oh, there's a door that's open. And I want to throw a frag into that door, and then we can clear the room closest to us. So the support man is going to be whoever's behind me, so the 2 man. And I won't be like, get a grenade ready, get a flashbang ready, whatever. Even if I've got the door closed, I can make that call as a point man, like, get a frag ready, right? So that, that's a good idea. Let's detach magazines. That's a great idea. So if I'm like, if we're on this left stack and I'm the breacher, because I have to be, support man's going to be the grenade person. If we're on a split stack, and Rebel's right there, Rebel's point man. He's number 1, I'm number 2, because I'm second into the room. In this situation, I'd be the breacher. And then number 3, who would be behind Rebel, he'd be like secondary support. So if Rebel's like, get a frag ready, get a flashbang, get a smoke ready, whatever, that third man's gonna get that deployable ready. I'll breach it. He'll throw that deployable. Deployable goes off, and then Rebel's the first one in the room. He's the point man. Sorry. Any questions?
No.
Cool.
Does this also apply to glass doors, or do we treat those like windows, or just have different rules for them?
All of this applies to glass doors, but you can see through them, right? So we're going to talk about entry later. But like obviously this is not a perfect example because we got a window right here, right? So like if we come up to this building and we see that there's a door and a window right next to the door, we're not going to stack up against this window and then get ready to go into the door with, you know, we're going to clear the room from the windows and get as much information from outside of the room as possible. So if the door's glass, you're gonna like obviously you're not gonna breach it like it's not there, but you're gonna act as far as like information gathering and room clearing outside, like delayed entry. You're gonna act like that's a window that you can shoot through, because if the more you can clear a room from outside of it, the better. Anything else before I keep going? Cool. The next role that I want to cover is controller. So this is going to be important if we are doing a building clear as a 3, 4, 5-man team. And the controller isn't necessarily the squad leader or the fire team leader. It's just the person with no immediate obligations. So if 5 men enter, you know, if we got a 5-man squad or fire team enters a room and we've got a hallway to cover, we've got 2 doorways to cover, and we've got let's say we got to cover the door behind us because we just got in and there's enemy outside, so we gotta cover 4 angles. And then the 5th man that doesn't have any immediate obligations is the controller. He can ask, like, what do we got around the corner? What do we got here? He can move around and get information about the situation while everybody else is pulling the security that they need to pull. And they're going to call the shot if there are multiple routes. Like if you come to the end of a hallway and there's a T and it goes both directions, the controller with no immediate obligations has the most room in their brain to think about, to plan the next move, whereas everybody else needs to have a clear mind so that their reaction speed is as fast as it can be because they're pulling security. In a battle pair, it's not, you've got less guns in the fight and more obligations, so I don't know exactly what to do about that. Probably the controller, like the one making the shot, is just going to be the point man with the most information, or if there needs to be more planning ahead, then it's going to be the person with the least obligation. So if he's covering a section, like if you know their enemy's north and your battle pair is covering, like your other buddy's covering south, the person south has less obligation. But this is me thinking through all of this right now, so that's something that we all have to collectively, we will evolve. So just keep that in mind. Okay, yeah, so there's a few things that I want to get down, especially if we're playing public, but also just to get like nonverbal communication down, because it takes less thought. You can keep your mind a lot more clear while doing nonverbal communication than you can when you're speaking, because it's less for your brain to think about, and you can be more focused on the situation. And I've got two things right now. So I'm trying to remember what I meant by corner man, but angle switch. So let's say, well, let's use this opening right over here. So I'm gonna pretend this left. Actually, there's less bushes on the other side. So let's get to this side of the. So if we come up and we do a split, I'm gonna pretend like this wall is here. If we do a split, I'm watching that left side because I've got a better angle on it, and whoever is on the left side is going to be watching the right. I need a volunteer. I don't care who. So if I want to do an angle switch with Ezra, and we're close to enemy, so I don't want to talk, even if we've got different languages. I don't want to say anything, give our position away. And does everyone know what I mean by an angle switch? Like we both pull a J hook. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna raise my barrel up. And I'm gonna wait for Ezra to raise his barrel up as well. And then once we match that barrel raise, we both bring our barrels down. And once we're level, we switch.
Kind of got stuck there, but
Yeah, it happens. It needs practice. So go ahead and ask for an angle switch. So let's Rebel take my place. We're just gonna practice rocking angle switches for.
You know, everybody's gonna ask for an angle switch and then do the respond to an angle switch twice. So Ezra asked for the angle switch on that one. Rebel, now you ask for it. No. Alright, now Ezra, swap out Silence, you're next in line. Yeah, no, Rebel, you stay over there. So we're each
Gonna
My
do.
bad.
Yeah, no, you're good. So Rebel, go ahead and ask for the angle switch first. Alright, now Silem, you ask for the angle switch. Now Morbid, switch out for Rebel. That was good. Alright, I'll switch out down. That way you get 4 Morbid. Alright, now I'll ask for it. Alright, cool. And that's, let's say we've got a really like wide, we've got a lot of room. You know, it's not just like a tight corner, and we've got a lot of room. You're gonna have to figure out with your battle. I think we should decide right now. So maybe we should vote on this. There's 2 ways we could do this. the corner man can either be number 1 or number 2, but I'll explain what a corner man is. So, whoever's like rocking point at the time, they want to like swing around this angle. They can take a wide stance like this and watch that angle, and your corner man is going to be right against the wall watching the point man come around the corner. And he's going to have his rifle, he's not going to have his rifle up, right? Because that's going to communicate to the person pulling the angle that there's danger to his right, and it's going to gunk up the works. No, unless there is danger to his right, then, you know, get your gun up and shoot it. But you're going to be watching that person come around the angle. Because, like, let's say this person is coming around the angle. He's doing it real slow. He sees someone pop, 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 and then he gets shot in the arm or something, or his weapon jams, or he needs to reload. And he can't hold that angle anymore. It's not secure. He's going to run back, right? Behind his corner man and deal with whatever it is. He's going to bandage, he's going to do whatever. And then the corner man, seeing that, is going to understand that there's some sort of danger, so he's going to pop and hold an angle and protect his point man. And you know, the chances, especially with how greedy people get, of somebody, you know, getting an injured point man, seeing him run back to bandage, they're going to come screaming around that corner to get that kill. And your corner man's got you covered. You're going to be ready to take that dude out as your other buddy's bandaging, reloading, whatever it is. Any questions?
No.
Pulls point, and he pulls up, and he decides he wants to take that corner. I'm going to move up and just watch him. I'll be watching Rebel. I'll be his corner man.
And when you're point and you're like pieing, right? Do you pie all the way, or you just pie until you get an angle, like a certain angle, or like what?
So it's situational, but you want to, like, if it's a room, like this is a little different, right? Because it's not much different, though, to be honest. So if you're trying to get to the other side of the wall and you want to cover that, you want to pie the whole thing as you're going. I think the only situation that I can think of is a corner-fed room to not pie the whole thing, which is kind of like this, right? So, like, this is mostly a corner-fed room, but, like, if you're pieing the whole thing and you get to, like, a certain point where you're going to keep pieing and you're not going to get much more information because the door is there, then you can swing back around and then, you know, go into your breach like that. But yeah, it's very situational, but you want as much information about the room before you move into it as possible. And same, like, not even if it's not a room, like if we're in a city, you know, like if we're clearing city blocks, you're not going to pie the whole street because you don't want to just be out in the middle of a street to get a better angle. Once you pie like 90 degrees, you're going to be able to see all the way down that block, other than like inside of doorways and whatnot. I don't know. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So like basically, like, it's to get as much information as you can. So if you're able to pie the whole thing and it's kind of necessary to get as much information as you can, do it. If not, it's like you said, you know, situational awareness.
Yeah. Cool. Any other questions?